So I'm now at a rubber band ball part 61, and the ball is over 500 pounds, but I guess everyone wants me to keep on going. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. My friend Brendan and I, we placed bands for a while, then left and came back the next day to place again, and this happened. A band broke and made him launch backwards. So I had to help him back up, and then we got back to placing. And I think this is Brendan's last time placing the rubber bands on the ball. But after way too long, we were done, and the ball is huge, and the bands are way too tight. Just look at me standing on it and then trying to bounce stuff on it. And I finally rolled it back on the scale and weighed it in at 541 pounds. So, like, if you want me to keep on going. So it's rubber band ball part 62, and I wanted to try something a little bit different this time. I took about 5 pounds of bands and looped them all together like this with the help of my friend, and we had this long strand that we tried to wrap around the ball, but it was kind of hard, so I rolled it, and that was still pretty hard, and the bands kept falling off, but eventually we got it. But we wanted to test if the same amount of bands was better just placing the normal way, and after we placed that pile, we realized it was. So we got out 3 more bags and placed the entire pile. And these videos always take so long to make, so leave a like if you actually want me to keep going and adding on to this ball. It's just huge now. Just look at it again next to a basketball. And then we put it on the scale and weighed it in at 555 pounds. So again, like if I should keep going. So I'm now at a rubber band ball part 63, and we built this Lego tower to knock it over with the rubber band ball. It completely knocked it over, and then I weighed the ball in at 555 pounds, and then we got busy placing more bands to make it even heavier. I had a whole box dumped out, and my friend Brendan helped me place all these bands. And to make it go faster, we tried to do 2 and 3 bands at a time. And these are like the max custom length bands I can find, so I don't know what I'm going to do after this, but we were done. And the ball is now at an unreal level of massiveness. It about crushed this fort, then almost hit Brendan, and we weighed it in at 580 pounds. So, like, if you want me to keep on going. So one day someone commented telling me to fill this dome thing up with water, so I was going to do it. My plan was to fill this section up first, and then get in the other section, zip it up, and let it fill all the way until I was releasing it. But it started to leak through, which was ruining my plan. So I had to release early and let all the water out, and this is what it looked like. All the water did kind of rush in, and it made this cool little pool in the dome. It wasn't as much water as I wanted, but I still made the most of it, and then left. Let me know what else I should do. So one day I got a bunch of helium to fill up this giant 6-foot water balloon and an air mattress. I filled up the balloon until I was out of helium, and then I let it go and grabbed it. Then I tried to see what it could lift, and not really anything. Then I punched it and kicked it and slammed it on the pool, which made it fly away. Like this. And the balloon just kept going off into the distance, and the next day it was time to try an air mattress. I filled it all the way up, and it didn't do anything. So I put it in the pool, threw the shovel on it, and hit it, and then sucked some helium up, and then so did my camera. Part 61. So one day someone commented on my video with this giant dome thing and told me to put ball pit balls in it, so I put the whole ball pit in it. And it took a pretty long time having to air it up and move all the balls in, and then I had to move them from this thing to this thing until eventually they were all in the one big circle. And it looked really cool. I fell in it, then looked around, and then ran around, and then fell again, threw some balls at the camera, tried to run, and it wasn't that deep because it was so big, but let me know what else I should do with this thing. So one day I decided to fill my giant hamster ball up with ball pit balls, and I've done this before, but this time I'm going to do it with a lot more balls. I took all the balls from this dome, got in the ball, and here it was, all filled up. It was crazy. I rolled around in it, then rolled it outside, fell down, and here was the view. Then my friend Brendan tried to throw stuff at me and roll me over. Then I decided to test if I could ride this electric scooter in, and I got in with it, but I couldn't make enough momentum for the scooter to go. So I just got in with this hoverboard instead, rolled around, did a lot of spinning stuff, and then I fell again, and went outside. Let me know what else I should try. So one day someone commented telling me to take my giant 580-pound rubber band ball back to the pawn shop like old days, but it's too big, so I'm going to take all this random stuff in this little rubber band ball bag.
What happened to it? Did you put it in water?
And I told him it was a different ball, then showed him a picture of the big one.
Gosh, how big is that now?
I said 580, and then he said I should just put it on eBay. And then I moved on and asked him what he'd give me for this thing.
About $50 in rubber bands, $30.
And I couldn't sell it for that, so I had to move on to this ball.
Super high. Wow, yeah, that's cool. Did you get this at like Chuck E. Cheese?
And then I told him the price.
$16. I paid 8 for it, so I wanted to double my money.
Oh,
Yeah, we didn't end up making a deal on the ball either, so I moved on to this tiny rubber band gun. And I threw him a high ball number.
$200.
He gave me a weird look, so then I just moved on to the last item.
Magic, basically.
I said it was super rare water repellent spray, and I wanted a lot of money for it, but he didn't budge, so then he tried to sell me some stuff, including these cool shades. This is rubber band ball part 64, and it can barely fit through a doorway, and here it is next to a tire. I rolled it to the other end of the warehouse, and then decided to crush a bunch of poppers with it. Here it goes. And after that, I rolled it onto the scale, breaking this little wood ramp and weighing it in at 585 pounds. And it was now time to get the ball over 600 pounds, so I dumped out a bunch more bands, and then look at this other angle. The ball is huge, and the camera just doesn't do it justice how big it is. And my friend helped me place bands for so long, until eventually the pile was out. and the ball was done. I rolled it over the beanbag and then used it as like a giant exercise ball that's just huge and weighs like 600 pounds. I crushed this ball pit ball and then pushed it with the hoverboard onto the scale and weighed it at 605 pounds. So like if I should keep on going. One day I ordered a bunch of giant Legos to build a brick wall and run into it. So we built the brick wall, and then I got on the scooter and ran into it and completely nailed my nose and made it bleed a little bit. Yeah, it really hurt. So then we put it back together and took the rubber band ball to it. And after that, I ordered even more Legos because I was like, I need to make the wall even bigger. And then I tried to jump over it, which was kind of a fail. So let me know what else I should do or if I should buy more. So one day I got another super strong magnet to go magnet fishing with. First I wanted to test it, picking up this chair first, then this helium tank, and it did a pretty good job, so I was ready to go fishing after I threw this frisbee thing. I first took it out to this pond to test it and threw it out, pulled in, and for a while I was getting a lot of nothing. And after a long while, eventually on a really big throw, I hooked something and pulled up this thing. Kind of bizarre. Then I dropped it and accidentally pushed it out further with my magnet, but I got it. And then the next day we went to a different pond to test. I dragged the magnet along and pulled up this. Yeah. And then I threw it back and pulled up whatever this is. It was like a coin and a really black piece of metal. And after that I felt something really hook on, but I couldn't get it. So one day I decided to test some water repellent spray on some stuff, including my giant rubber band ball, which I guess is already kind of water repellent, and these shoes to walk on water, this shirt, this glove, this lampshade, and this towel, these glasses, and my name. Then I came back after 24 hours to test it. The glove didn't work, and the lampshade, the water bounced right off the side that was sprayed, and not the side that wasn't. And then the shirt kind of worked. If you get really up close, you can see the water beating off of some of it. Right there. Then these glasses that didn't really do much, and this towel that actually kind of worked way better on the side that was sprayed than the non. And it made the water just sit on the surface of the rubber band ball and just run off. Then I looked at the wet concrete and my name was really there, but then I tested the shoes and it didn't work. So I'm now all the way to part 65 of my giant rubber band ball, and here's a little rubber band ball being thrown on it, and then me pushing it to the scale to weigh it in at 607 pounds. Then we threw down another pile to keep on placing and make it even bigger, and people ask me all the time what my goal is for this ball, and I don't even know. I'm just going to try to get it as big as possible. It always takes way longer than it looks to place all these bands, but eventually we got it done. I tried to push it with my hoverboard, and kind of worked. Then we put it back on the scale, and it was like 30 pounds off, so it actually weighs like 634 pounds. So, like, if you want me to keep on going. So I'm in a rubber band ball part 66, and the ball is huge. Look at me behind it. You can't even see me. And I put it on the scale, and it weighs 630 pounds, but we're going to get it even bigger and keep on adding bands. And my friend Brennan and I began placing bands for a very long time. And a lot of people say it looks like an egg now and not a ball, but it's very hard to keep it round because it's so big. And we try our best. And after we finished with the pile, I messed around with it, tried to throw balls on it, and then dunked with it. And I compared it next to this tiny rubber band ball and my head, then fell off of it, and took it back on the scale to weigh it in at 655 pounds. So, like if I should keep on going. So one day while scootering, I dropped my laptop and then dropped it again on accident, totally on accident. And I had to fix it, so I looked up on the internet and got some toothpaste and some lemons to repair the crack. I've dumped the toothpaste out, started brushing it really hard, and I brushed it for quite a while and realized it wasn't going to do anything. Yeah, so then I tried to fix this plate and bam, it was bigger and better. And then I broke it. But then I tried the lemon juice on the laptop, and that didn't really work either. So then I just got sad. So one day I decided to fix some of the damage on this car with life hacks I saw on the internet, starting with toothpaste to fix these scratches, which didn't end up working. So then we just moved on to the wheels using this black tire shine, and then tried to repair this crack on the windshield, and the shaving cream or toothpaste didn't really work. So then I just washed the entire car and really tried to actually detail it. I used the Dollar General leather cleaner on the cloth seats, and it looked really great. And then vacuumed the entire thing and used this plunger to get the dents out, but it actually got this dent out of the roof. So one day I bought a watermelon because a lot of people want to know how I made this giant 600-pound rubber band ball, and it all started with a watermelon and a lot of rubber bands. And I'm going to do it all again with this watermelon so you guys can see. I put a bunch of rubber bands on the watermelon until eventually this happens. Bam, and all the rubber bands fly together and create a little ball. And I was kind of covered in watermelon, but I had this little ball, so I was happy. We threw the watermelon at the car, and then we were ready to make this ball neat. And I spent a little while double knotting a bunch of bands around this ball until it was pretty round and neat, and bounced pretty good. And I even crushed it with the giant rubber band ball, so let me know what else I should do. So I'm now to rubber band ball part 67, and we actually made a couple more tiny rubber band balls. Here they are on a mini trampoline, and the big one was too big for it, so we just put it on the scale and weighed it in at 655 pounds. And now it's time to make it bigger. I dumped out a whole nother pile. Then my friend and I got to placing bands for a really long time. And the bigger this ball gets, the harder it is for it to look bigger. So we got to add a lot of bands every time. And we finished up the pile, and then I wanted to test if it would go through a doorway, and it wouldn't. It's too big now. And I failed trying to get it back on the scale, so we had to both push it on the scale and weighed in at 679 pounds. So, like, if you want me to keep on going. So one day I ordered this giant bubble dome thing because I saw it on the internet and thought it looked cool and had to buy it. I got it all the way aired up, and it was pretty cool looking. I opened it up, went inside, and it kind of felt like one big quarantine chamber. I was completely separated from the outside world. Here it is inside, and then I got bored and decided to put my giant rubber band ball in it. I put that in a beanbag and then chilled. So comment any cool ideas you have for this thing and I'll do them. So one day I went to one of those warehouses that has overstocked Amazon pallets you can buy, and I bought this one for $500 to see what was in it, like a cool mystery box. I opened it up at my warehouse, and there was these pillows, a sleeping bag, a fan, a dog bed, and this automatic dog food feeder. And this thing that we didn't know what it was, but it actually ended up being a sword. And at this point, I was already happy with my purchase. Next was some camping stuff, a Christmas tree, a trash can, a nice microwave, a not so nice microwave, a bottle of water, a Serta rolly chair, this thing, and this outdoor bench. And we added everything up to be worth over $1,000. Then we tested out the sword and first used the wrong side, but then destroyed a can. And comment down below if I should try to sell all this stuff or just use it. So one day I ordered this human hamster wheel to float down the creek on. I got it out and aired it all the way up to test it out and run in it. And it was kind of short, but I made it work and I could roll in it, and it was pretty cool. So then I loaded it up and took it to the creek. I put it in the water, got on it, and we were off. The only problem was the creek was pretty low and there wasn't much current that day, so I had to do a lot of spinning and tried to make it out to the current. Because further down the creek there was a little bit of a current, and I tried my best to make it to it until I was there. And once I got there, it was pretty insane in this thing. Here's the video of me and me inside, and then I just kept on going forever. No, I'm kidding. I came back and then took a nap. So one day it was rubber band ball part 68, and the rubber band ball is now almost 700 pounds, but today we're going to get it there. And somebody in the last video commented to get colored rubber bands, so I got these black rubber bands so you can see them placed on the ball. And the cool thing about two different colors is you can see them all going onto the ball. And it took us quite a while, but eventually we got it done. And the ball looks really cool now. It looks kind of three-dimensional. Look at it. The black bands are more sleek than the other ones. And the ball is so massive. Look at it in comparison to my head. Then I zeroed out the scale and put it back on, and it weighed 706 pounds. So, like, if I should keep on adding bands. So one day I ordered jumbo Orbeez to see if they were that much bigger than regular Orbeez. I filled it up in this container full of water, and I didn't know how much water to add, so I just added this much, and 24 hours later, it all looked like this. They were really big. Here's a size comparison to regular Orbeez. They looked like little bouncy balls, so then I tried to bounce them, and then this one broke. So then I took this one and bounced it and broke it like this. But they look so cool, I decided to taste one. Don't try them. Then we found this clear one that turned me upside down, and this one was even more round. So let me know what else I should do with these. So I'm now to part 69 of my giant rubber band ball, and it's now over 700 pounds, but we're going to get it even bigger. I dumped out 25 pounds of bands to place on the ball, and I started placing with the help of my friend Brendan. And we actually placed 3 bands at once the whole time to make it go by a lot quicker. Until eventually we were done. I stood on it, and then tried to walk on it, and tried to walk again. It was actually kind of successful. Then I pushed it over here, dropped this ball on it, jumped on it, and then we tried to figure out how to get on the scale, and weighed it in at 727 pounds. So, like, if you want me to keep on adding bands. So I'm now all the way to rubber band ball part 70. It knocked over all these crates. Then I zeroed out the scale and weighed it in at 730 pounds, and it was time to add a bunch more bands. So my friend Brendan and I got busy placing this entire pile, which took so long, and we ended up taking a break and coming back the next day to finish it. But eventually it was done, and the ball is now even bigger. Look at it next to my head, me jumping on it, then me rolling it to Brendan, him rolling it back even faster, then dunking on it, and we weighed it back in at 755 pounds. So, like, if you want me to keep on adding bands. So one day I filled an even bigger pool up with Orbeez. I filled the other one up with about 2 million Orbeez, and I'm going to fill this one up with millions more. And we were going to reuse the old Orbeez in this pool too, but they kind of smelled bad, so we just went with all new, and it looked like this. It was pretty insane looking and really colorful. Just millions and millions of colorful little orbs. I got in it and then splashed around, then jumped in and tried to swim across, then jumped off this mini trampoline, and I even put this inflatable zebra in there and tried to make it look like I was in a weird rap video, and fell in, like if I should add even more Orbeez. So one day I filled this pool up with Orbeez in my last video, and then people wanted me to add more. And so I did. I bought like a few million more, added a bunch more water, then came back the next day, and it looked like this. And the Orbeez were a lot less watered down this time. It was just solid Orbeez for days. And when I would fall in it, I basically just got stuck, and then I tried to swim like this. Then threw some Orbeez at the camera, and tried to get on this floaty, and then skateboarded this little rubber band ball into the pool. Then I tossed it way up in the air to see what the splash would look like, and here's the slow-mo. Yeah, pretty cool. Like if I should fill this car with Orbeez. So it's now rubber band ball part 71, and this ball is insanely massive at 750 pounds, but we're going to make it even bigger. And this time, half the bands are these half-inch bands that I've never tested before, so we'll see how they go. And the bands were just really tight, so we ended up moving the ball to see if it would make it better, and it did, because none of the bands had been placed on that side that much. And it also helped make the ball more even. But eventually, after a long time, we were done. The ball is huge. Here I am trying to stand on it and walk on it, and almost fall. I dropped some Orbeez on it, threw a water balloon at it, and crushed a water balloon, and then weighed it in at 777 pounds. So like this video if you want me to keep on adding bands. So one day someone commented that I should make a second rubber band ball, and I already have 3. This one, and my giant one. This one's huge. I can sit on it, but not sit on the other ones because they weigh 0.6 pounds and 15 pounds. Well, the giant one is 777 pounds, but I'm still waiting on a shipment of bands, so I'm going to add on to the other one. I just grabbed a bunch of random bands at Walmart, then went back to the warehouse, threw the ball on the table, dumped out a bunch of bands, and got to placing. I started with all the colored bands to make it look really cool, and it did. It ended up looking like this. It was cool. Then I moved on to these ones to make it really tight and compact. And after a while, I was done. Here it is. Rolled it off the table and compared it next to the giant ball, then my head, and then threw it as high as I could. And it's pretty bouncy and weighs 17 pounds. Like if I should keep doing this ball too. So one day I bought a ton of cardboard sheets at Walmart to build the biggest cardboard boat I could make while still functioning. And I used to make cardboard boats all the time, but I hadn't made one in a while, and I felt like making a huge one. I pieced the boat together, taped it up completely, taped all the flaps down, flipped it over, taped this, and then put a bunch of sheets in the bottom. And after that was taped completely, we flipped it back over and then added another sheet, taped that down fully, and then I decided to add some Flex Seal. I did this to help waterproof the boat, and then I sprayed this on there. But I ended up coming back the next day and adding another coat anyway because it felt flimsy still. After that was done drying, it was time to test it out at the creek. I put it in the water, got in, and laid down. That was the only way I could be stable. The current wasn't very strong, so I tried to row without much luck, and then I saw a leak, and the boat started to collapse in. I kept on pushing, trying to stay afloat, but with no luck, we eventually went down, and I was never seen again. Not really, but I was pretty sad. So it's rubber band ball part 72, and the ball's a little messed up from a video that's not out yet, but it still weighs 775 pounds, so we're going to keep on adding bands. And this time I got these special blue bands. And we began fixing up the ball and making it look cooler with these blue bands. And we kept on rotating it, that way the bands would be spread more evenly, and it would be easier to place the bands. And after a very long time, we were done. I about crashed into the wall, then jumped on it, and dropped my phone. Now, this ball is completely insane. Here's next to the little ball next to me, and then I struggled to put it on the scale. But got it and weighed it at over 800 pounds, like if I should keep on going. So it's rubber band ball part 73, and I about knocked over a fan with it and struggled to make it over to the scale, but weighed it in at 800 pounds. But we're going to add even more bands. And the ball still looks kind of broken, so hopefully after we place all these bands, it looks a lot neater. And the ball is finally getting close to 1,000 pounds, which is what the scale maxes out at. And we kept turning the ball to make it as round as possible. And after a long while of placing bands, we were finished. And the ball does look a lot neater. I jumped on it like this. Then it accidentally moved the couch when I was trying to make it over to the scale. Brendan tried pushing it on, but failed alone. So we both had to push it, and it weighed 829 pounds. I then pushed it off and took it outside to show the cows. Yeah, they thought it was pretty cool. Like if I should keep on going. So it's rubber band ball part 74, and the ball won't fit through a doorway. It's over 800 pounds, and it's looking kind of rough. But we're on our way to 1,000 pounds, and we're going to get it there. We dumped out a bunch more bands, and we've been using this same band for a while. They still work on the ball, but we almost need bigger bands. We kept on placing until it was done. And it's actually getting hard to jump on because it's so tall. I pulled a stray band onto it, and then crushed this box, and then pulled it to the scale. And at first, the scale was acting broken, but eventually it weighed in at 842 pounds. So, like if you want me to keep on adding bands.